The title of the chapter focuses on the need to develop global talent for the development and execution of a global strategy. This is very true and will be highlighted during the brief overview of the chapter. However, my dissertation topic was on the subject, but from a different perspective. Many companies are not as successful in launching the global expansion strategy because the board of directors did not have the global experience to help guide the executive team as it transformed itself from a domestic marketed company to a global focused company. A final point here. Even though the title is Global Human Resource Management, it would be better titled Global Talent Management. Either way, the success in the international business will be determined in large part by the way a company views the strategic role of talent management in international business. When a domestic company or a parent company is looking to expand globally, it will most likely deploy an ethnocentric staffing policy. With this policy, all key management positions are filled by a parent country national because 1, they believe the foreign market lacks qualified individuals to fill senior management positions. 2, as the best way to maintain a unified culture. And 3, is the best way to transfer core competencies is to transfer parent country nationals who have knowledge of that competency to the foreign operation. However, this policy limits advancement opportunities for foreign market nationals, which could result in resentment, lower productivity, and increased turnover in that group, and can lead to cultural myopia. As the company continues to develop, it will deploy a polycentric staffing approach. With this approach, the parent country will allow foreign market nationals to be recruited to manage subsidiaries. However, the parent country nationals continue to occupy key positions at corporate headquarters. Under this staffing policy, the parent company will less likely have cultural myopia and will be less expensive than the ethnocentric approach. However, there are still a few disadvantages, like host country nationals have limited opportunities to gain experience outside of their own country and thus cannot progress beyond senior positions in their own subsidiaries. Finally, a parent country will reach a geocentric staffing approach as it makes the best use of its human resources by building a cadre of international executives who feel at home working in a number of different cultures. Under this strategy, the parent company may be better able to create value from the pursuit of experience curve, location economies, and from the multi-directional transfer of core competencies than firms pursuing other staffing policies. Another way to look at global staffing strategy is this approach. The role of HR becomes even more important as the company starts its transition to a global company. First, let's be clear. The activities of human resources management include human resources strategy, staffing, performance evaluation, management development, compensation, and labor relations. However, none of these activities occur in a vacuum, and all are eventually intertwined with the global strategy. Through the influence and efforts of the HRM function, it impacts character, development, quality, and productivity of the firm's human resources. The HRM functions help the company achieve its primary strategic goal of value creation. Let's be honest, these 4 elements can very easily be applied to any domestic company, and they should be. Today, HRM plays a strategic role in a domestic company, but that role is even more complex when a level of being global is added to the scope of responsibilities. These requirements for staffing, management development, performance evaluation, compensation activities, etc., increases the level of complexity for HRM due to the differences between labor markets, culture, legal system, economic system, etc. If the company is needing to build a bench of managers capable of leading and managing these activities of a global company, the HRM function must deal with a host of issues. It must decide how to staff key management posts in the company, domestically and in the foreign markets. You must decide how to develop managers who can be familiar with the nuances of doing business in different cultures, different countries. The performance evaluation of staff in different countries is always a challenge. Finally, one area that is always challenging for HRM is the use of expatriates, which is a citizen of one country working abroad in a foreign company at the request of the home country. The decision to use expatriates can be costly, sometimes 3 to 4 times the cost of a domestic manager. So it must be clear as to the why, the timing, and the who in the compensation behind an expatriate posting. Expatriate managers are used by ethnocentric and geocentric staffing policies. Two of the key fundamental attributes of a global manager is someone who can deal with high levels of complexity and ambiguity and is open to the world. One of the most important positions usually staffed by expatriates is the finance leader. However, expatriate failure rates result in premature return from the foreign posting and high resignation rates. The reason of failure of expatriates are numerous, and they include 1. Inability of the spouse to adjust. 2. The manager's inability to adjust. 3. Other family problems. 4. The manager's personal or emotional maturity. And 5. Inability to cope with the larger overseas responsibilities. In closing, I would like to spend a couple minutes to provide a real-world example that incorporates many of the presented concepts. In 1992, I was asked to take an expatriate role as CFO of our subsidiary in Argentina. For 5 years, I had the role until the decision was made in 1997 for my return to the corporate headquarters. Upon my return, I was made Vice President of Financial Planning and Analysis of the international headquarters subsidiary. My staff consisted of 6 analysts, none of whom spoke any foreign language or had ever worked overseas. Working with the HRM area, I was able to reconstruct the job descriptions to better match the company's global culture. Slowly through attrition over 2 years, I was able to totally restructure my staff to better reflect the international environment in which we operated. This was accomplished by bringing star performers from the international operations to work in the U.S., and by going to some of the top business schools in the nation and hiring foreign nationals who would be able to communicate directly with the key financial staff in the international companies. Several years later, as we needed to replace senior finance executives in our international operations, these analysts from my staff were selected and sent to these sensitive financial positions. With foresight and good HRM planning, the company built a bench of global finance leaders and managers to meet the needs of the company.